Okay, so let's take a look at how we can build some themes here. We're going to go through the process in this lesson of building the graphics for our custom theme. Okay, as you can see here, I'm at styleworkshop.com, and we're going to use a sample photo from Style Workshop for our project here. As you can see here, you can go to the free trial link if you like, and there's a free trial download that's got almost a couple hundred free images that you can use and whatnot. And Style Workshop is pretty neat. It's worth coming here and checking out all the different components and whatnot. It's basically an inexpensive way to get a nice collection of stuff that you can use for your projects. Okay, so we've got a CD, a Style Workshop CD here, and this is just the interface from the CD. And we've gone into the media browser and we've selected a photograph. So that's what we've got here, and we're going to use that for building our theme. Now if you go on your CD into the source files folder, you'll see that there's a folder called themes, and in there you'll see these contents. So you've got the JPEG here, and that's the photo that we're going to use to create our custom theme. And then you've got these 4 blank Photoshop files, and those are templates that you can use to create themes. Now if you don't have Photoshop, you can also use Paint Shop Pro, for example, which also opens Photoshop files and so forth. But basically, if you need to create your own files from scratch, you can just use these dimensions here. So you would create 4 blank files at 111 by 63, 166 by 312, and then optionally, if you would like to also create background images for your theme, and again, this is optional. A lot of the time you won't even use this. The standard sizes would be 497 by 312 and 497 by 362. At any rate, we've got our files here. Let's go ahead and drag these into Photoshop and get started with our theme. Now what I've got here is the photo. I'll just bring it up to size here. As you can see, it's quite large. I'll fit it on the screen. This is the photo that we've selected from Style Workshop to use to build our theme, and it's just something that's basically generic, but it should work good for this purpose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and copy that into my clipboard. So I'm going to press Control A to select all, and then Control C to copy it into my clipboard, or you can go to Edit, Copy. Then I'm going to go ahead and close that image down. Now all I need to do is go to my remaining 4 images here. So these are the 4 blank images we had in our folder, and I'll just press Control V, and as you can see here, that puts a copy of that photo into each of these images. Now these 2 larger images are background images, and again, these are optional. Traditionally, installers usually use just the side image and the top image, which would be the small one and the medium-sized one here. Now in Setup Factory, because of the way the themes are handled, you can actually stretch your top image all the way across the screen if you like. But typically, this is the default values that you're probably going to want to use, so we're going to use these just for this lesson. But of course, we'll take a look at some of the other possibilities later in the Extending Themes lesson. So let's go ahead and do our backgrounds first. Now, in the case of backgrounds, you're probably going to want to fade your picture out a bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and transform my picture. I press Control T, and I just sized it down to my canvas here. Let's see, I'm just going to actually bring it out a little more. There we go. And then I'm going to, there we go, I'll bring this up to 100%. And then I'm going to go ahead and add another layer on top of that, which is going to be filled with white. And then I'm just going to take the opacity of this layer back. So for example, if I mix in the white layer at, say about, there we go, somewhere around 60%, the text is going to show up nice and sharp against that. If you make it too much darker than that, you're going to have a problem with the text contrast. So that looks pretty good to me. I'm going to use that as my first background image. So I'm going to go ahead and do Save for Web. So File, Save for Web. I'm going to save this as a JPEG image, and I'm going to save it just here on my desktop. I'll save it as 497 by 362 JPEG. Okay, I'll go ahead and close that down, and then we'll go ahead and work on the next background image. So that's this one here. And I'm going to do the same basic process. I'm going to go ahead and size down my photo to fit my canvas size into something that looks good to me. Basically, somewhere right around there looks kind of good. Then I'll get it set up the way I want it. Add another layer, fill that layer with white, decrease the opacity to around 60%, and go ahead and do File, Save for Web, JPEG, and I'll save it as 497 by 312 onto my desktop. Okay, there's our second background image. Now I'll go ahead and close that. Now we'll go ahead and do our side image. Now this one's pretty important because this is the one that typically is going to be most seen, if you like, in your installer. I'm going to go ahead and just transform this so that I can get some of the tree and some of the rock in there. It's kind of neat. Now typically you'd be putting a logo or a photo or something like that on top of this, and this would just be sort of to decorate that. For example, a logo right here. But in this particular case, we'll just run it through like this. Now in this case, I'm going to go ahead and sharpen up our photo a little bit. It looks a little bit blurred after I transformed it. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and actually bring up my levels dialog, and I'm going to bring the white level up a little bit. There we go. It's a little more dramatic that way. Now that looks good enough. Let's go ahead and save that. So again, we're saving it as a JPEG, 75% quality. Now you can use any quality setting you want. You can use a PNG image and so forth, but we're using JPEG. And we'll call it 166 by 312. We'll put that on our desktop. And we'll do our final image here, which is this little top image here. So I'm just going to go ahead and reduce my picture quite a bit to bring it in here. I'll let in a little bit of that rock on the side there, and then some of the trees and some of the green. Now I'm going to have to sharpen this one up quite a bit because I've actually sized the thing. There we go. To an extent that it's got quite blurry, and I'm actually going to use my sharpen tool to individually come in here and just finish off these leaves here because they're a little out. There we go. Now I'll maybe add a little more green to that, and we should be good to go. There we are. Now I'm going to save that again as a JPEG, 111 by 63 we'll call it, and I'll save that to my desktop. Now we've finished creating the graphics that we need for our theme. Let's go ahead and review what we did here. We've got our blank templates, and I haven't changed those. You'll notice I kept answering no when it asked me if I wanted to save the difference there. And we've got our finished images here on our desktop, and I'm just going to go ahead and open these in my image viewer, and you can see real quickly there's our background image, our second background image, so they're nice and consistent, our side image, and our top image. So that creates the graphics for our themes. And in the next lesson here, we'll take a look at how we can finish off this theme by creating the XML file portion of it and then adding that to the default themes available in our Setup Factory 7 application.